Welcome to the Family Office. Planning for the people who matter most.
Anyways,
I want to change gears, man. And we've talked about this topic in the past, but I want to revisit it because something's getting ready to happen in August, which is the tariffs between the United States and Canada. And so just to give you a little bit of perspective to chew on and give me your perspective, there's a proposed 50% tariff on about $20 billion of Canadian products. And it's scheduled to begin August 19th of 2026. And the stated goal is allegedly to combat Canadian discrimination against American products. And so they're going to be putting tariffs on like textiles and cotton and cement and stuff like that. So
yeah,
what are your thoughts about it?
I think it goes back to my same feeling. I'm not opposed to it. In fact, lay that crap on them. And here's the reason. I understand tariffs are a tactic. They're a weapon and they've never been used. And they have to be used right now. And I'm a firm believer on this until someone can show me evidence otherwise. But diplomacy in this area has not worked. Otherwise, America would not be running the trade deficits that we're running. Still, we're running massive trade deficits, which means we are getting hosed every time we trade with Canada and a lot of other people. It's not just Canada. And Canada wants to constantly lean on we're the biggest trade partners and we've been doing it a long time. We have infrastructure tied in, and I get that. And that's a pain in the ass because we're so close and we've been so productive with each other. We do have infrastructure tie-ins, and that does make it more complicated. And I empathize and sympathize for those people who are involved in those industries that are affected by those, because if I owned a business in those areas, I'd be pissed off as well. But I also, something that I've become to learn as I've gotten older in business is you shouldn't have just one business, Len. You should have a lot of businesses, like a lot of wealthy people do, families do. And then the last point is this, Canada protects industries. Canada protects certain industries, and that's just not fair. America doesn't, we don't do a good enough job of protecting our own industries here, but by default, capitalism doesn't do that. Capitalism is supposed to just let it go. So I think there's just too much manipulation on the Canada side of things, and you're not fair there. We should not be running the deficits we're running. And Canada doesn't want to play ball, and it's for obvious reasons. If Canada doesn't continue to have the trade surpluses that it has, meaning the manipulated markets to hose us, they're going to go broke, and they know that. And that's where I think this has become such a pain point, because Canada has to trim its budgets. For so long, the United States has not had to trim its budgets at the expense of everyone else with their crap not having to trim their budgets. And not just people here at home, because the problem starts here big at home, but the NATO crap and the freaking Canada trade deficit crap and all the other crap that goes on in the China trade deficits. For too long, America has been told, and Americans are told, you got to cut back, and you got to, like, for example, good grief, man, Mondami, lower your thermostats to under 70 or to over 78 to not stress our grid. BS, dude. Tell Canada to turn their grid off and take that power and give it back to us because they've been trade deficiting it. That's just where I'm at with it, Len. I'll throw it over to you.
Okay. So there's a lot of points that you said that I agree with. And one is that the United States needs to be in a position where manufacturing and the need and the relationship between us and the world, we need to bring manufacturing back to the United States. However, the only problem is that when we look at where our energy and our efforts and our intellect is going towards, it's moving towards AI. And so even you agree that most manufacturing is going to be localized, where we have 3D printing and things like that. And so if you got to think about it, the original reason why tariffs were even imposed was to create revenues for the United States, because back up until 1913, Americans weren't even taxed. And so because they weren't taxed, they used the tariff as a way to generate income for the United States. And so since the nature of that changed after 1913, the way in which tariffs get utilized should also adjust. And so where we are right now with Canada in particular is that there is no benefit to the United States to increase tariffs except for to create more revenue coming from a different source. And so considering the fact that Canada is one of our closest allies, I think there's some challenge that I have with imposing a 50% tariff on them. I think going from like maybe where we are right now and increasing it by, 10 to 20%, I think that's fair, because I think as a general idea, we should have more of an incentive for people in the United States to manufacture those different goods. But Canada's been one of our biggest trading partners. And I think it ruins or it tarnishes the relationship that we have with them. So I'm in agreement with the fact that there should be increased tariffs to, if there's a corresponding benefit that comes back to the United States outside of just extra revenues being generated. Because ultimately, as I've said before, an increased tariff on Canada is going to trickle down to the American people. And at the end of the day, affordability is already an issue. And so because we're having more to spend more at the pumps, we're spending more for housing, we're spending more for food, we're spending more for just everyday living expenses, that just adds an extra layer of expenses that we will ultimately have to bear.
Yeah, but I see it as diabetes. I see what we're experiencing right now as diabetes.
Explain. What do you mean?
Or arteriosclerosis, or heart disease, or cancer.
Okay.
And what do I mean by that? It's the same BS in the medical field. The problem we have today goes back 100 years, 150 years. It's a problem that's becoming a compound problem for decades now, and because we've done nothing about it. The fact that we needed tariffs, great. We should have still worked those tariffs, because America has a lot of sovereign wealth, and our wealth and our products and our exports should be creating so much wealth. And it's evident of that. Our GDP, it's evident of that the country produces enough resources for the rest of the world to sell to the world as a company, as a capitalist nation, where we don't have to tax our citizens. That's true. The fact that we've had to start taxing and taxing and taxing, I mean, what is it now, Len? It just passed. Did Newsom sign it, or he's about to sign it? You now have to pay a tax on electronic services, SaaS services in California. Ridiculous.
I agree.
Ridiculous with the amount of revenue there. That is my point. We're spending ourselves to death because the politicians know they can keep taking and 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 keep taking. It's completely out of balance. We should have never did to this point. My point exactly. Diabetes is not a problem that, oh my God, doctors go and they treat diabetes as if that's the problem. That's not the problem. You understand where I'm going with this? Mm-hmm. It's insulin resistance, which means what? That patient did what?
Symptom.
Diabetes is just the symptom of insulin resistance. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. A heart attack is the symptom of arteriosclerosis or heart disease. Cancer is a symptom of there's a lot of detail there, and I want to get into it, but cancer is a symptom. These are right. These are symptoms. These are symptoms of insulin. And one of the main culprits, when you go back to it, that we're finding now is insulin resistance. So when you go back to this problem, doctors treat diabetes, but they really need to do is they need to tell that patient, look, you need to lose weight, you need to get on a diet, and guess what? And this is why Wegovy and the other one are so successful, because what is it? It's not a PDE5. That's the other one. The GLP-1. Oh, GLP-1s. I was going to talk to you. I was going to bring up a funny study about PDE5s. I don't know if you know what PDE5s are.
I'm trying to figure out how make this weed back to Canada. I know you're going to bring it back.
Here's how it works. Okay.
Okay.
A GLP-1s are successful because they go down to the root cause.
Yeah.
They go down to the root cause and they treat the root disease, which is insulin sensitivity. Mm-hmm. The root cause here is not the fact that Canada is our best and our biggest trade partner. That's not. The root cause here is that we're fleecing America at the expense of Canada, at the expense of China. We're fleecing Americans so that these other countries can have a good deal with us. Len, if you and I are business partners, and I hate that word because a business partner is just someone who hasn't found out a way to betray you yet, or cheat you, or whatever, usurp you. Okay. If you and I are doing business together, you can't say, who cares how long we've been doing business together? If it's a bad deal for me for the last 20 years, that I'm not going to look and go, oh, but we've been doing business for so long. Yeah, but you've been cheating for me for 20 years.
But how does increasing the tariff help Americans.
Because in the short term, it does look painful for us because we're going to go, oh, it's going to raise prices. But bro, we're here at the high prices anyways, and we're paying more in taxes anyways because we didn't manage the selling of our goods and services at the beginning. You have diabetes because you ate too much sugar. You didn't
That's the
move
reason
enough
why I
and you were
brought up
fat.
the point, though, that our intellect and our energy is not going towards increasing the manufacturing infrastructure. Even you agree that the manufacturing infrastructure is changing, and so,
but I think it is now.
Increasing tariffs, if it were the mean to the end of increasing manufacturing, I'd be all for that. Like, look, let's take the surgery in the beginning because it's going to hurt, but in the end, it's going to be better. And I think that's where you were going with the cancer analogy. And if that were the case, I would agree with you. But our time, our resources, even if you take a look at mergers and acquisitions and where all the venture capital is going, it's going towards AI, rightfully so. So I think manufacturing is going to be the stepchild that gets overlooked and ignored in this whole process. So that's why I don't see the connection with tariffs.
The two biggest things is we need money. Len, the United States needs money. Everybody needs money. We can't allow people to take our money and trade anymore and then keep taxing our people Len, I know that you know this because you're in California, but California has officially now passed to the point where you can literally out in open public say that you're taxed to death in California, and it's not even a joke anymore. You are taxed to death in California. You are literally taxed to death. The fact that you now send a message on Telegram and you're taxed for that, or the fact that you have a Microsoft 365 subscription, you're now taxed extra for that. Now that you are taxed to death. So when you look at the tariffs, if we don't back this up, the prices are going to keep going up and up and up and up and up long term. Screw right now short term with the tariff offset, Len. But if we don't get this under control, you're going to have to tax people more and you're going to have to jack the prices up even more. It's just going to keep going in that direction. If we don't get our trade, Len, do you remember this? I don't know if you remember this, but I remember learning about this in junior high school in the 90s about trade deficits and trade surpluses and how the fact the United States was running a trade deficit and it was so bad for the United States economy. Why has that not changed? I don't understand how trade deficits are not a bigger topic. And Trump's been saying this since the 70s and the 80s. We're getting fleeced. It used to be Japanese and it was the Chinese, and the Chinese are still doing it. The Japanese, not so much anymore. But I just think that, yes, we need to figure this stuff out with Canada. But here's the reality behind it. And I'll turn it back over to you, Len. Okay. Elon Musk just privately, do you know what he did? He privately bought a nuclear energy company. And it's a company not a nuclear energy company, a company that makes remote energy production. Basically what they do is there's these semi-truck things and they come in their turbines and they burn fossil oil and gas to produce electricity. He bought this company for $1 billion. You know why? Because he's not going to wait for the government to let him build the electricity or the government to build the electricity he needs to power XAI. So what did he do? He said, I'm going to go buy a freaking company that's innovating in the marketplace, capitalism, that builds mobile energy. And he's going to what do you think he's going to do to that mobile energy company? Not only is he going to utilize it to power XAI, because the problem is you can't rely on any of the grids now because the government sucks. Right? Because they're sending that money to Canada in a trade surplus for Canada, right? He's now going to control the point of contact, which is exactly what capitalism is supposed to do, not the government. He's going to go there and take that private energy company, turn it into behemoth, power XII, and grow a business that's going to get us out of a problem that we're in right now. That's capitalism. Meanwhile, AOC is going to twiddle her thumbs for the next 20 years and figure out how he grew XII to a $20 billion company or $20 trillion company. And she's going to go, we need to tax them more. That's the conundrum I think we're in with tariffs. I know I went long with it, Len, but that's where I'm at with the tariffs. Pour it on those suckers.
Wow. Okay. Well,
I'm still going to buy maple syrup, even if it's $20 a quart.
The way we treat our allies should matter. And
but okay, Len, I get you.
Okay, we're done. We're good.
No. Wait, Len. I fully agree with what you just said there. But why does no one look at the inverse, Len? If I'm
because
your ally,
we're the big dogs.
But how long can we be the big dog for before we run out of money? Look, think about it this way, Len. If you and I are friends, or whatever. Okay. We're allies. We're supposed to be friends. And I'm selling you something and you find out I'm selling it to you at double the price I should be selling it to you at. You're not going to be mad about that?
Of course, but that situation.
But that's how we're being treated by our allies. Our allies are continuing to expect us to, number one, foot the bill for them because we're the big dog, and then protect them, and then bitch at us when they don't like the way we do it.
Well, okay. Well,
I get your point. I feel the same way in my heart. I'm like, ooh, that's our ally, bro. We shouldn't do that. I get you on that, Len. But then I'm going, why you keep robbing from me, bro? Like, you know what it is? It's the same exact, our allies do to us what a drowning victim does to the person that comes and saves them. You know what they do, right?
Right. They just grab on and
to the neck and then, right? That's what, so I get your point, Len. I want to go out there and help them too, because it's our allies, Len. I'm wired that way, but I can't do that. How long can we keep doing it at our expense? And you and I are paying that expense. The everyday New Yorkers, the everyday Americans, like politicians like to label us as, we're paying that expense. Newsom's not, AOC's not, Chuck Schumer's not. None of these guys are paying this crap. None of them. They don't pay for it. We pay for it. And that goes back to my 2 points. People are sick and tired of not seeing, and they're tired of being told what to do. Anyways.
All right. We could go. Well, that's a dead horse I don't want to beat anymore. So we're good. I'm going to leave that one alone. So with that, Chris, man, it's always a pleasure to have a conversation with you. What are your last parting words before we bid farewell to our audience?
Go USA, baby.
Love it, man. Well, hey, with that, if you like our information, subscribe. We always want to hear your feedback in the comment section as well. Till then, everybody, be safe. Take care.
Conversation has given you clarity on your next steps. Please share this episode with someone who's walking the same path. Don't forget to like and subscribe so you won't miss future episodes. And remember, planning ahead isn't just prudent, it's an act of care. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time on The Family Office.